Good morning. My name is Sophie Conlon and I've recently completed a 15-day practicum at a Catholic school in a low socioeconomic area of the north side of Brisbane. So the school that I was at had recently changed from a special school to a private Catholic college, and this meant it had a really good reputation of providing excellent education for students with all types of learning and physical disabilities. So if as a student it made it really interesting for me to be there and to use educational theories such as differentiation to really change up my lessons and try to impact the kids. So I had 4 classes that I was teaching while I was there, 2 grade 8 English classes and 2 grade 10 English classes. Both of the levels I had the same. I had 1 core class and 1 lower. So I had the core class first. I would teach the lesson to them, then change it up a little bit and make it a bit more agreeable, more doable for my students in the lower level classes. So this gave me a really good opportunity to start using those educational theories and really understand how they impact the kids in the classrooms. So with my different classes, my grade 8s were learning about poetry and the figurative language aspects such as alliteration, personification, similes and metaphors. They also had a poem that they had to read and analyse and highlight, and we started doing that in class together. Whereas my grade 10s, they were studying the Hunger Games and how it relates to reality TV, so that's dystopian novels and really interesting topic for them. So before I even started teaching, I sat down with my mentor teacher and we spoke about the learning outcomes that we wanted from the students for the weeks. So we sat down, we wrote it down on a piece of paper where we'd like the students to be at the end of my time there and how we wanted to get them there. So that really made it helpful for me to understand, what I had to accomplish and where the students should be at by those couple of weeks. So with regards to educational theories, the main one that I found really helpful in this placement was differentiation. So because I did have those 2 classes, both with 2 different levels, I found it really useful to be able to teach my first class, which was the core, and then to slow the classes down. So with my grade 8s, when we started analysing the poem, what we did is we went through the task sheet, we went and highlighted all the different points. I did this with my first class and I just told them what to highlight and they were good, they knew what they were doing, and we went over the task sheet. When I did it with the second class, which was the lower level, I had it on the board with me and I highlighted everything on the board that they needed to highlight just so it's a bit more visually appealing for them. And then we didn't end up going over the criteria sheet with them because it's something that would have just gone over their heads and they wouldn't have completely understood. So we just kind of broke it down a little bit, made really explicit instructions just to help them understand. We also did, when we started analysing the poem, with my first class, we read through the poem, they found all the similes, the metaphors and the personification, and we just analysed that as a class. With the second class, what we did is we had the poem in front of us, we went through and we highlighted each different one first. So to make it a bit more visually appealing for those kids that are visual learners, we did that and it definitely helped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include an example of student work here. So the poem we went through and we highlighted. So we've got all the different ones in different colours. We've got similes, metaphors and personification in this poem. So we went through, highlighted as a class, and then I did it on the board again. So I had a Word document up and we just went through that, and then they helped me analyse it and they broke it down. So by slowing the lesson down for them, it really made it easier for them to understand, and they were able to, visualise it a little bit more with the highlighting. So I think that really helped just differentiate. It's not a big change, but just slowing down a lot, really helping those students. It was really helpful and they ended up getting all the work done, and they did a really good job analysing the poem. So I was also able to use cooperative learning because I think that is so important and it works really, really well with the kids. So I did this in my grade 10 classes just because I thought it was going to be a little bit easier. They're a bit more mature, so working together in a group will be better for them. So I did use differentiation in this part as well. So what I did is I had these sets of cards, and I'll provide an example now of them as well. So I had these cards, they had to sort them out and then write a paragraph based on them. So it's a bit of a fun activity, gets them moving, it's got visual, kinetic learning in it, which I think is really good. So with my core 10 class, we gave them the cards, they got to pick their own groups, and we wrote a PowerPoint together, wrote a paragraph together on the board. With my lower level 10s, I put them into their group. Just because this class had some issues with behaviour management, and a lot of the students had behaviour issues, so they still got to do the activity, and I think it was really beneficial for them to actually have something hands-on, have something a little bit fun, but I structured it in a way that it worked and that they were able to do the work without creating ruckus and without getting off task. So despite it being a really good tool for them. They also, really fun tool for them. They also got something out of it educationally, which I think was really good. So at the halfway point through my placement, my teacher and I sat down and we worked on my interim report together. So there are a few things that I needed to work on, mainly just with my presence in the classroom, my voice and the way that I'm speaking. So my lesson delivery, she mentioned that I should work on, so that's incorporating non-verbal cues into behaviourism. So, just like tapping on desks, just staring at students, waiting and waiting for them to be quiet, which I ended up working on. It did make a big difference. So explicit instruction as well, she wrote down as a tool for differentiation. So this was in regards to my lower level 8 class. So just breaking it down, really slowing it down, like putting it up on the board. Okay, you're highlighting what I'm highlighting. So really slowing it down, making it really easy for them to understand. So after we had that chat, it was really helpful for me and I was able to, slow down my lessons even more, make my instructions even more explicit for the lower level classes, which was really handy. So I agreed with her and I said I should be focusing on my presence and my non-verbal. It's also my tone of voice in the classroom, because I tended to be quite loud when I was talking. But she said, talk like you're talking to everyone else, keep your voice nice and low and the students will match your tone. So I ended up doing that and really focusing on that, and it did really work. So it kept the classroom nice and quiet. If I was speaking, they couldn't hear me, they would quiet down. So I think that made it really helpful just to understand a little bit of psychology. So what I'm going to do now is just provide you guys with some of the lesson plans and the student work and the things that I did in class that I think really helped. So I'm going to pop in my lesson plan for my grade 8 task sheet lesson where I explain the task sheet, just because I think that is a really important lesson, and I know that the students think it's boring, but it's really beneficial to them and it really helps them understand the task. And then we can talk about as well how I differentiated that for the lower and the higher level grade 8s. I'm also going to put in my grade 10 PowerPoint that I did. So I had everything, all the classes on there. We had it up on the board always and we worked through that, and the answers are mostly on there now. So I think that's a really good way of seeing how I structured it and how, the sequence went with the lessons. So I'm going to add those in. I'm also going to put in a little bit of examples of student work from my grade 10s, how that relates to the PowerPoint and how they, saw their own way and found their own answers in that.